You're listening to Nexxlegacy.
All right, my people out there, this is Charles. I am Brandon Madison of Nexxlegacy Radio, and I have this beautiful guest with me today so we can talk about not just her music career and what she has going on and what inspires her and what makes her tick. We just want to take the temperature of, why people do what they do and just enjoy just people who are passionate about music, life, love, and everything that comes with it. And I need all my people out there to go check this young lady out. Christina, I listened to her music, and I went on Spotify, and I was checking out just some of her stuff. And, I mean, the voice and everything is just so unique, and it's different, and it has so much passion behind it. I'm like, I got to get to know this woman. I need to know what's up. You know what I mean? So Christina is in the building with me on Nexxlegacy Radio. What's up, young lady? What's up?
What is up? Thank you so much for having me on. I want to just say real quick, like you mentioned the word passion. I love that so much. That's like one of my favorite words. Mm-hmm. And I use that word to describe myself and my interests in like music and things like that all the time. So I love how you were able to pick that up off of listening to my music. That makes me feel amazing. Thank you so much for saying that.
Come on, I caught your vibe. I mean, and it's hard to deny. It's hard to deny when people are doing something that they love to do. You could smell it on them. You could feel it in their soul. You can just catch that vibe. It's unlike no other. And I just want to start with the people out there who are trying to get to know you and direct traffic your way to all social media platforms and beyond. Like, how did you get started doing what you're doing as far as music?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually haven't been doing music my whole life. Like, I know a lot of artists out there. It's like, I've been playing music, or I've been in a band, or I've been doing choir. I've been, playing instruments my whole life. That's not me. I did do choir when I was younger, and then I've always written like poems and kind of lyrics in that sense. I've always been very interested in music, like, and reading lyrics that like I would always pay attention to like the lyrics of a song, for example, whereas like most other people I noticed wouldn't. And I always would want to learn the lyrics so I could sing along. And I think so all of that, just my writing over time, eventually I got to a place where I was like, you know what, I do want to turn my either like poems or like my lyrics into actual songs. I feel like I have something here. And unfortunately, I didn't actually do that when I had the chance to when I was younger, and I got married. I had a kid, which was great. I'm happy I did all of that. But once I had a kid, I really, really could not like deny how much I wanted to make songs. I don't know why. I think having a baby just brought out like that passion in me even more. And so I had to do it. Like it's like exactly as you said, it's passion. Like I just had to do it. So that was only in 2020. So it was only 5 years ago. And I actually started out during COVID times, believe it or not, like everything was like shut down. I had just linked up with a studio and everything had shut down. And I was like, you know what? I'm not that afraid of the COVID situation. So I was like, I'm just going to reach out to them. Maybe they're still willing to work. Because at that point, I thought everything was closed. And I happened to reach out, and I was just like, are you guys still okay with me if I come and, like, record something? And they're like, yeah, we're still open. Come on down. So I did a lot of those songs. I recorded actually in 2020 during COVID and a little bit in 2021 that are out on, all the platforms currently. So, and I have some more, of course, that I recorded that are not out yet. But, so that's how I started. I just really, really couldn't deny, like, I just was always writing, and I just was like, I need to put this to some beats, and, like, put it out there.
So I kind of feel like a lot of people, I've interviewed a lot of people over the years, and they always say, that it came from the womb, that I started when I was, before I was born or whatever. And then I get some others who, started out later in life and things like that too. So it's a normal transition to it. Was there like a specific song, or was there like a moment? I know you mentioned like after, your kid was born, you just kind of unlocked a door that you needed to go through, but was there like a song that really kind of put you in like a zone where I was like, or you were like, I need to do this, like I need to I'm
absolutely. That would definitely be the first song that I put out, which is 432 Hertz, but its like nickname is called Zenning Out, and that's like my whole motto, Zenning Out, or in the song I say, bitch, I'm Zenning Out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a Christian woman, but I cuss, okay? And it's just some, like, I know a few others that are like, it's just my vocabulary is how I express myself. So, and the way that song came about is I was going through a pretty hard time, actually, like in my marriage at that time. But I did have a baby, like a kid at home. So I was trying to like work through it and everything. And I remember just, feeling like I was trapped kind of at home and in that situation. And with my ex, and, he obviously at that time, he was like really getting under my skin all the time, and I would let it really get to me. And then I just started to really put that all into just writing, and I said, I'm not going to respond to him. You know what I mean? I'm not going to like entertain it, and I'm going to just write. So I remember specifically one morning where I woke up, and it's like he started annoying me from like the second I opened my eyes. And I just was like, I was about to say something back to him, right? And I was like, okay, you know what? And I said to myself, bitch, I'm zenning out. Like, I'm not going to respond. I'm just zenning out. Like, no. And then that's literally where that song came from. I just, like, went from there. I, like, dived in and I wrote the song. And then I wanted to actually title it Zenning Out, too, but it didn't work out like that, but it's okay.
Yeah. And I know, like, the obstacles of, relationships can kind of throw a wrench. And I don't even want to say throw a wrench. I mean, it could either add or detract, or at the end of the day, it can add more, lyrics to a song that you're writing based on whatever you're going through, good, bad, or whatever.
Right.
But has just learning from that moment, has that moment kind of, made you realize that, no matter what I'm going through, the pits and falls of what either a relationship is, or even if you're going through your own struggles, that, I can still continue to kind of keep moving forward and put pen to paper or whatever to be able to just express yourself in a way where it's authentic for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like as a creative person, it's very important for me to like be able to have an outlet, and it's like an outlet technically. It's an art form, but it's really an outlet to let out like whatever you're dealing with. It's a coping mechanism, so it's like as though I'm writing in my journal, except I'm making it go to like a beat and like, rhyme or whatever. So it really is. It's amazing to be able to do that. And it's helped me out a lot to be able to do that. Whether I had put the music out or not, it was like very helpful, but actually putting it out is also kind of like therapeutic. I remember I was very, very nervous because I was like, oh my God, it's really strange that people are going to kind of like hear my inner thoughts, like,
Yeah.
And
it's vulnerable, though, right? It's vulnerable to the part where you're very transparent about your emotions and your feelings and things like that. And especially if you're writing it because you're feeling it, and then there's always a story behind it, then it's vulnerable. And tell the listeners and the people who will be listening just a little bit about like the stages of what you go through when you write, because are you the kind of person, if you're in a good mood, then I'm going to write an upbeat, like, song, or if you're going through some emotional roller coasters, I'm going to just write something or whatever. Like, what's the thought process and how you write?
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, my moods or what I'm going through, like affects what I'm writing. So, like, obviously, like, if there's, like, a sad song, I wrote it in a bad time. But at the same time, the Zenning Out song, like, it was, like, out of a negative situation, and it's, like, a pretty upbeat song, you know what I mean? So maybe the message could be, like, upbeat still coming out of a negative thing, but it is always some sort of emotion, I would say, that, like, brings something into my brain that gets me to start writing. Definitely, if everything's just, like, neutral, I don't feel like I'm writing that much, right? But I will say for me, the process is a little bit, like, I usually don't like just sit down and write a song like in one sitting. I will be like driving and then like stuff just comes to my brain, but I'm like driving, so I'll be like, damn, like I need to like remember this, and so I might do like a note really quick on my phone or something like that, and then I come back to it later when I'm able to like focus and write. But yeah, sometimes it's hard to like not have a beat ahead of time, so a lot of times I'll even write half a song and then I find the right beat for it and then I finish writing the rest, so it's like kind of all over the place.
No, it makes sense though, because you kind of, if you're writing something, I mean, you can't do acoustic music forever. Like you have to find specific beat for it. And I think it's important for people out there too to know and understand, like, the melodies of what you're trying to put out is important. It's synonymous with what it is that you're trying to be able to get out to the people. So, music, melody, writing, all that is intertwined and goes hand in hand. So I have a random question in regards to just how music is delivered these days, because I feel like the industry that we're in, because we're in the entertainment business, is keep it true. Right. Like, it's always like, it's oversaturated with people who have different agendas. How do you see yourself fitting in a very crowded arena with all these distractions that people get when it comes to music?
Yeah, that's a great question, and you're right, it is very saturated. It's like a good and a bad thing that it's saturated, because it's like the reason it's saturated is that now everyone's able to put their music out, not just like, people that are with big labels like it used to be. So in a way it's like cool, but then it's also like, there's so much out there, and how do you stand out, or how, for me, it was all just about really, truly writing from the heart and being authentic, and whether that came out the way I wanted to. I mean, I guess to you it did, which is great, and I hope for everybody who listened, it came out that way, like it's authentic, and I'm passionate about what I'm writing, and it is mostly from experience. Some of my songs might be like kind of like fantasy, but that's like its own thing too, you know what I mean? But they're mostly from experience and like from the heart and like what I'm actually going through. So for me, that's honestly the best thing anybody could do, is like just be yourself, like truly. It's hard in this industry, I would say. You're always pressured to be a certain way, especially for women, I'm sure, to be like sexy and stuff like that. So I would say just if you're not feeling that, don't do it, even if they're pressuring you. I know as a woman, I do feel that pressure a lot. Like, you definitely get more attention if you're showing more skin and that sort of thing. It is so real. But it's like, it's a fine line for sure.
But isn't like transparency and talent and passion for what you do, isn't that still sexy? Like, you don't have to take your clothes off to feel that, though. Like, you could still, and not only that, you could still have the imagination of what the sexy part of who somebody is, still be relevant in what you do. Like, oh, that's hot. But then she made it hotter by her real talent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense that people are looking at it in such a backwards way, because I would rather have you be talented and put something out there, because that's going to make you more attractive to me. I'm just saying. Yeah, but the past, I don't know how many years now, that's the way the industry's been going. It's just all about, like, more and more sexualizing young women and even young guys now and stuff. So it's like, I really hope things are kind of making a turnaround, though, and it's just more like authenticity that's, like, making a comeback. Well, that's what you have with yourself, and I know there's others out there that's like you. Also, I feel like it's connecting with like-minded people, like, let's just say us, that we can be able to, like, see you for the inside out versus the outside in, and just make it true with developing and growing and just being your best self and letting that last forever, because, sex sales, I get it, but how long are you going to, like, continue that masquerade before you find out that, I can't do this. I can't be sexy for like 50 years. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do that. Like, somewhere along the line, reality's going to hit you, and then it'll be like, I can't do this all day. Like, I'm tired.
I feel like that, that's crazy. That's like something I've actually thought about so much, is like, women that are in that position where they're always being sexualized or, like, done up and whatever, like 24/7. I'm like, that sounds exhausting. I don't feel like they actually really want to do that. You know what I mean? Exactly. I bet you they just want to be in, like, a hoodie and, like, like sweatpants hanging out at home, like, sometimes.
Right.
They're usually, like, they're always out here doing stuff,
Yep. And you are so right. I mean, but I think that's just like, if you really and truly like that, then be like that. Because you know why? Because people out there that is drawn to you based on what you do and how you do it is gonna love it, regardless if you're all glammed up or if you're in a hoodie. You're still the same, and that's sexy to me. Like, sometimes you want to dress up and do you. But at the end of the day, like, if that's not your normal thing and you just walk around just being your normal self, that's still going to draw real people in and stuff like that. And I just think that's genuine. For sure. Yeah, and I think that's just true to life. So, look, with music that you've done, and it's interesting because when you mentioned that you had, like, this spark in you, like during COVID time, and you wanted to get in the studio and start working, and you know, and I think during that time, because everything was literally shut down for a long stretch, right? We kind of have to look in the mirror and just be like, okay, who do we want to be? Like, do we want to, you know, do I want to own a business, or do I want to just, you know, you have to figure it out. So in this crazy day and age of not just music and how we consume it, but also being your best self, did you also find time to be like, you know what, I could strategize and try to see of not just invest in yourself and make your own, you know, way in terms of this, but you know what, I could see myself doing this for a living?
Oh, of course. I thought of that. I mean, so far I haven't reached that goal yet, but 100% I was like, I can actually hopefully make money doing this. Of course, I will say that when I started, I knew absolutely nothing, especially when it comes to like the actual business and industry side of it. I had to be shown like everything and how to do everything, you know, from like scratch. So I will say it's difficult. I will say I haven't done any like shows or anything yet, because I know that's like a good way to make money. I've been dealing with like some health issues. So for me, I'm just like, one day I'm going to figure out a way to make good money off of these songs. And for right now, it's like I'm on a break, but it's like coming forward, I want to do some Christian music. And with those, it's like, I don't know if I'm really even looking to make money off of that. I just want to do it for like my soul. You know what I mean? And like put it out if other people want to listen to it as well. But with the songs that I have now and others that I have recorded that I haven't released yet, that I do want to release, or some more mainstream stuff that I've written that I haven't recorded yet, like I really think I can put out some very mainstream music that could be in movies and TV and this and that. But it's really hard. Like I've tried to sync stuff, and you know, you need the right people to work with. I've worked with certain people that have maybe like sued me over, like, you know what I mean? So it's difficult in that sense. And I've spent a lot of money here and there, like trusting in people, or like, you know, saying, oh, this person promised they're going to get me a sync or whatever. And then like come to find out, I don't even think they ever pitched my songs to anybody and that sort of thing. So it's a lot of like, trial and error navigating to do, I feel like, when you're dealing with people in this industry, and especially when you're trying to make money. So, and I think you mentioned something about this, like when you first picked up, said something on the interview right now, you said like everybody has their own motives or whatever, in the industry. So it's like, yeah, I've come across a lot of that, unfortunately, because I didn't know better. I was very naive and like, you know, I just didn't know. Like I'm a really genuine good person, and I just assume other people are as well. So then the reality set in, right, that's not the case, and there's all kinds of different characters, you know, with different motives, like you said. So, again, I feel like I could have done pretty well if I met, like, the right people that might have, like, gotten my music synced and that sort of thing. And so now I have, like, a batch of, I feel like, music that can go super mainstream that I'm like, I'm going to wait until I really have somebody that could pitch this to the right people so that I can actually say, hey, I made some money here, and then I can actually do something good with my money.
Interesting. I feel like in the word agenda I threw out there because people have it. Like I feel like,
yes, agenda. There you go.
You and I kind of come from the same cloth as far as the vibe we have about people helping people. I think it's necessary. I think we need it.
Yeah.
The world cannot revolve and be productive if you don't. People help people. That's what paying it forward means everything to me, right? So, but I think what you've experienced is something that me personally I want to try to avoid, because if I have to go to somebody with an idea that you have, and if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna let you down, and I'm gonna let myself down, because that third party says that they're not ready, or there's a catch, or there's something involved.
Right.
So thanks to say this, I control my own shit. And I think it's important for everybody to at least have some control over what they do and who they do it with, right? So if you don't own your masters, you're going to wind up having a hard time being able to do anything and move in a different direction where it is. So,
you have to own your masters.
Yeah, and you're your own masters of your life too. Like, the reputation I have, I run it. I did all my licenses and contracts. I can play what I want to play, have whoever I want to have on. My agenda is paying it forward, and if somebody catch that, then it's easier to do business because the decision doesn't have to come from a third party; it can come from me. We could do business
absolutely.
that. You get what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like
and that is one of the great things about being independent. You know what I mean? And like having the option these days to be independent and still put music out. It's really awesome in that sense. It's just a little bit harder because you don't maybe have the same money to back up and advertise and market yourself the same way like the record labels do.
Mm-hmm. And the record labels, you already know, there's.
I mean, I already know, and I also don't want to know whatever I don't know already. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Listen, I haven't worked with any big names or anything like that, and what I've experienced, I'm already good.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good. I am so good.
I just feel like at the end of the day, like, we have to control more of what it is. Like, instead of being codependent on, other people and things, like, get yourself a nice circle of people who have the same mind, that has the same agenda, and that has the same pay it forward mentality. And you can't stop. You're going to win. It's just going to take a little bit, but you're still going to win because you're moving in such a way where it's going to be important in your life, in your career, and how you grow as a person and as an artist. And I just think that makes sense. So,
absolutely. It's all part of the journey.
With music that you have right now that's out, you have music on the horizon, right? You said you have some stuff that you haven't released yet, correct?
I do. I actually had a song that I was about to put out on like the 1st of January or something like that, and it's called SoCal Vibes, like Southern Cali Vibes, right? And I recorded this like years ago, but I didn't put it out, and then those fires happened, so now I'm kind of like waiting. I don't want to put it out just yet, But
right.
In a way like that delayed me, but I was like, okay, maybe I was like getting premature on that anyways. I'm going to wait a little bit longer, and I do want to put out some more music, though, both that, like, the mainstream stuff, and then I'm going to do the Christian music as well. But, it's all, like, a matter of time. I'm not rushing. I feel like the first time around, I'm happy with everything, but I also feel like all of my songs could have been, like, even better. I really, truly feel that, and I feel like if I don't want to, like, put it on other people, but, like, I feel like maybe I wasn't working with people that wanted to give me as much time as I wanted, or maybe they weren't as patient with my music, and I would have, like, personally, I like music that's, like, really, like, different and, like, switching up all the time, so I would have done a lot of that kind of stuff with my songs. So I'm still happy with it, but my point is, like, moving forward, I really, really want the outcome of each and every song to be, like, exactly how I envision it. So I'm just, the learning lesson here is for me to not rush into it.
Here's where I think you're just on the very beginning stages of just evolving as an artist and even as a person. And like I said, you and I just, we had the first time we've had like real dialogue. So this is what I get, because your early days of music, and you just said that, you know what, I feel like I could have did this better, or I feel like I could have had a team that could have just, kept a closer, like or a closer ear to what I was vibing with. That's just that you have more that you need to unlock about yourself that's going to make your next project or your next song even better than that before.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
And this is why it's important for you to get that, that 2020 music out, because you're going to start comparing it and be like, wow, I sound way better than I did a few years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, my God, yeah. That's actually going to be so cool whenever it gets there and I can actually do that.
Comparing what you were to where you're at is, to me, any artist that evolve and be like, you know what, I sound way better than I did in 2020 or 2021 or something like that. Right. Because me, I have a sharper ear now. My vocals are better. I have an ear for production now. That's the only way you're going to be able to grow and evolve and just elevate what's up, right? So I think you that mindset where I could totally appreciate that, though. Like, that is so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say I like really do have a vision whenever I come up with something, and I get really detailed about it too. And I just feel like I wasn't able to get into as much detail as I wanted to with all of my songs. Like, for example, the 432 Hertz song, like, well, I wanted to title it something else. I was talked out of that. And then I wanted to make sure that I had the 432 hertz frequency going through the song the entire time. Like, I wanted it to be like an experience, you know? So whatever, I was kind of talked out of that too. And again, I'm not like saying anything about anyone. I appreciate everybody that I've worked with, and they're all really talented and great people. But it's just like, I think maybe if they would have just done exactly what I asked, this is what I want the next time. You know what I mean? I just want people to just like, me to tell them, this is my vision, and this is exactly how we're going to do it.
Right.
And then see how that goes. And then if I'm not happy with it, then I'm like, all right, we'll take suggestions from here.
And that's the beauty of music, because you could be able to, like, have something in your mind that you get out, and it, you know, by the time it comes out, you're like, oh, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. Or,
yeah.
So, you know, and again, the beauty of music is trial and error, like, you know, giving it a shot. To me, is the best thing that you can be able to do, because there's so many people that handcuff their talent and their music, or even put it out to the people. And I'm like, you know, I mean, take it for yourself, that's cool, but you know, the vulnerable part of who you are is just to get that out to other people and just let it grow, let it mature, let what it is when it's all done. So, you know, very, very interesting. Continuing on Nexxlegacy Radio, I always look at it when it comes to like either future projects or, you know, different things that you have going on.
Can I say something really quick? I'm so sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, because I just realized, so the one song that I have that it came out exactly how I wanted it, it's called Jet Set, okay? And that's actually not on Spotify. So when you get off of here, like, check that one out on YouTube.
Okay.
I keep forgetting to put that one back on Spotify.
Listen, I'm gonna have to go on your YouTube and follow you anyway. So
all right,
have to make sure I check that out. I think it's important for, you know, people to like have a plan for themselves overall, big picture. And I know, you know, on your social media, I know you hashtag venting out lupus warrior, and what's the
Hashimoto's
warrior.
Hashimoto is just another autoimmune condition. So I have lupus, and that one I have too.
Okay. I heard you mention it earlier, but I know because, you know, when I interviewed Toni Braxton, like, way back when. And, and I know she is, you know, a lupus warrior as well. And as far as
I didn't know that.
Through her career and things like that, like, to me, I think it's important. I mean, you know, to be transparent and to continue to just, you know, still push it out gives me a high level of respect for what you do, because I know you have good days and you have bad days. But
appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
What is the overall, like, especially with everything that you have to go through, like, the bigger picture? Is it just to be able to be mainstream and do more with your talent? Like, you know, what is your overall, like, mission? What you
know what, I would love to say, or when I first started, I'll be honest with you, I was in way better health when I first started in 2020. I'm pretty sure, I mean, now that I know I have lupus, like, I know I've had it my whole life. It's just I didn't know, you know what I mean? But now that I know what the symptoms are, I'm like, okay, I've literally had this my whole life. But in 2020, my lifestyle at that time was like extremely, extremely healthy. So I was doing really well. I had lots of energy. And, you know, I was able to go in and record and write, and I had a lot more of that, like, gusto or something you want to call it, right? So then in 2021, I actually ended up taking, like, a job. I didn't really, like, want a job, but, like, a friend of a friend was like, oh, there's, like, a job opening if you want to come. And I was like, you know what, sure, why not? Like, I'll take a job. I'll meet some people. Whatever. So I took that job, and I honestly think from being in an office all day long, my symptoms got, like, really bad. After like 8 months or something working there, I ended up quitting because they were trying to get me vaccinated, and I did not want to do the vaccination. So I ended up quitting. Like, that's like one thing. And I'm so glad I stuck to my guns on that, because if I had gotten that shot, it would have affected me horribly, knowing what I know now, which is that I have 2 autoimmune conditions. Things like that. And this explains why my entire life I don't take Advil, I don't take Tylenol. Those things make me feel worse. They don't help me. And now I know why. It's because I have two autoimmune conditions, so it's like adverse reaction to those things. So anyways, I ended up quitting the job because of that, and then soon after, I just was feeling horrible. I spent about like a month in May of 2023, where I didn't even come out of my room. It was almost like I don't even know what happened that month. Like, it was so weird, and that's what really got me to be like, okay, something's wrong. And so I went to like a bunch of doctors, whatever, and then finally found out I have Hashimoto's, and then a couple months later I found out I also have lupus. So I'm still trying to treat my lupus. I don't have any kind of help with that. The first doctor that I was referred to I didn't like, so now I'm going to a different one, and hopefully they'll be good. But I'm really just trying to fix like my lifestyle. That's the most important thing, is like what I'm eating, and staying away from like chemicals and stuff like that is like really, really huge. But when it comes to like music, yeah, I don't always have like the energy like I did in 2020 to, write all the time and like go record, and even singing. Like, I try to practice singing as often as I can, but even sometimes I don't have the energy for that. So it's like different every day. Like, I just don't know how it's going to be. So for now, a more realistic, I feel like, goal for me would be like, if I could put my songs together and pitch them to other artists that are already big and somehow get those going, that would be a really great way for me to make money, but not have to like dance, and sing and stuff, like, and do all the work that goes along with it. When I first started in 2020, I was so down to do a dancing video or something like that, right? But of course, everybody was shut down and nobody was doing anything. So I'm just like, now a more realistic goal would be to maybe like write my songs, put them together, and find somebody good that can pitch them to the right people for me.
I think being able to be a songwriter for other people have netted people with, an opportunity. I mean, hell, look at Babyface. Look at, so many other people.
There's so many people. Diane Warren, what's the other guy? David Foster. Like, these are like really like, they're living the life.
Hey, Diane, listen, I mean, excellent writer. I would have to tell you this later, but I'll tell you now. She actually wrote a song that the Jets did, and then Expose did. I'll have to send you the link to the song. They both did it at the same time, but she wrote it, and it's a powerful, powerful song. Like, it's a ballad, but I was just, my respect level for her just, ramped up like somewhere in the 80s or whatever. But she has such a historic career as far as her contributions to music. So, her shout out is important. But I could see that happening too, because again, when you put pen to paper, and I'm not just saying that because I'm interviewing you, I could tell there's something special. What it is, and how you get it done. So I could see you giving that same energy to somebody else and paying it forward that way could be beneficial to you later, not just financially, but just a legacy that you could leave. Like, you know what, hey, that shot up to number one, and I penned that. Is that
I know. I don't need recognition, right? Like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, totally. Like, I'm more so just like, to be able to do something like that would be absolutely the dream. Like, just to know, like, my words from my heart or whatever are like out there and people are hearing it, whether it's from my voice or someone else's voice,
That's honestly how you leave a legacy, and I love that. I mean, with everything that you have that you're dealing with, not just on the health side, but also as a person growing and evolving, to see someone still fighting the good fight, to be able to leave a legacy is inspiring to me. So
and to add to that, actually, I will also say, also being a mother, like, my son is 10 now, and so I didn't know it would be like this, but like, it feels like the older he's getting, the more of my time he wants, right? So I'm like spending a lot of my time with my son, and whenever, on the days where I'm feeling good, especially, it's like I want to do something with him. So it's more realistic for me in that sense too, to think like, okay, there's already like people out there that are doing the videos, dancing and doing their thing, and I can hopefully get one of them to do my songs,
As a dad myself, my daughter's 22. Like, enjoy those moments when they're 10 or, younger, clearly. But then when they hit those teenage years, 13, 14, 15, 16, it changes. And I'm not saying
I know. I'm like, how much longer of this do I have?
It'll just
right
be
now
different.
it's all, I need a cuddle, I need a snuggle, I need a hug kind of stuff. I'm like, I hope this lasts a really long time.
Oh, God, you're going to experience the independent years, and he's a boy, too, so it's just going to be different. But at the same time, it's going to be fun watching him grow and figure out things on his own or whatever it is. So, it's it's a beautiful thing to be a parent and watching them just kind of change as you're literally looking at the time. So, it's excellent. One last question before we let you go, Nexxlegacy Radio. I always ask people this, and I just, there's really no right or wrong answer, so I'm just going to put it out there. In music, what is the best decade of music according to you?
Oh, come on. Obviously the 90s. I'm like a Aaliyah fan, I'm like, those are like my favorite. Like the If Your Girl Only Knew, like, music, and the like, what do I remember? It was how did I forget their name? Boys to Men, like stuff like that, like really good music, but like it was also still like for younger, I feel like crowds. I don't know, the 90s or something else. What do you think? I want to hear what yours is too.
The 90s will always have a special place in my heart, because to me that was a decade of that. It was a decade of independence. Like I feel like a lot of people came up and was so and successful, like all the bands, like Noticey, Boys to Men, you mentioned them.
And it was like fun too. Like it was like, I don't know, there's something fun about everything.
Everybody was winning. Everybody was winning in the 90s. I felt In Vogue, you name it, like the boys
In Vogue, so
groups were winning.
TLC.
All winning. I got a soft spot for the 80s because I'm an 80s boy, right?
I mean, 80s are so bomb. So like sometimes when I practice singing, like I only do 80s songs.
Yeah. Okay. See, we're connected. See, 80s was.
I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, so it kind of makes sense why I'm like.
80s was a decade of diversity to me. Like, it was hip hop at its apex, in my opinion. Very young, but very, very new. Like, there was always
that also, I do agree that 80s hip hop was better. I've also heard a theory. You already know I'm a conspiracy theorist, so I also heard a theory about how in the 90s, hip hop music took a big change because there was like a big meeting with the big board executives, and they kind of like told all the rappers, like, you guys are going to start talking about drugs and alcohol and sex and violence. You know what I mean? And so it started to go that direction in the 90s.
Well, you mentioned it, and it's just like, I think NWA broke a door down, and it's just like once they did with their freedom of speech, with how they did it, then you're right. Every single 90s, like, hip hop was turned up to a different level where all you heard was just a lot. So it was important for Dre and Snoop to have the Chronic, or let's just say Dre to have the Chronic, because it was different. It was something that we never really heard before, right? So in the midst of everything, we had something different. But you also got to, give props to the 90s, because you also got to remember there was a lot of backpack rap. You had Pooh Schnickens, you had Das Effects, you had so many different layers of hip-hop at that point in time where it was still relevant. But you're absolutely right. I mean, street music still took, a front that, they just capitalized on, and, and to me. But when you say meeting, I heard about a couple different meetings too. So, I'm with you there, because to me it was like you were told you're going to do this, or you're supposed to do that. You're not going to be on this level, but you don't do this.
It was on the agenda, you know what I mean? Because like before that in the 80s, they had like a hip hop, hippie to the hippie to hip hip. You know what I mean? It was like such upbeat type music, and then it turned into like, I'm going to shoot you type music, like, so.
Exactly. Yeah, but you're right. But the 80s to me, like I said, you had that in that culture of it. But even the light rock and the pop and all that stuff.
Yes, you're right. Even there, you're so right.
But I always tell this to people too. It's just, if you go back, because you were born in the 80s, you thugged it out in the 90s. But the 80s had movie soundtracks that you can never ever forget in your brain. Like, any movie that was attached to music soundtracks, it's always going to stay in your head. Like, it's
yes, very true. I will say, you know, like those the Breakfast Club and like that set of movies, like the music soundtrack to those movies is definitely in my head, or like Ferris Bueller Day Off and like stuff like that for sure. You're right on the head with that.
You know, it was bomb though. Beverly Hills movies back in the day, The Goonies.
The Goonies, so good, so good, so good.
Cyndi Lauper song, like you can, I mean, come on, like
absolutely.
Boys there. So,
I know, oh my gosh, so good. What was that one from the 90s? The Sandlot.
Oh, yeah. Come on, so you said it right there. No, that brings a lot of history to, like, not just movies and music, but also different decades of just diversity and where we came from to where we're at now. So, you know,
hopefully we just gave a lot of like movies and different music for some like Gen Xers to listen to.
Come on,
or watch.
That's it right there. Exactly. All right, young lady, give out your shout out to the people out there and direct some traffic to social media. Where it's at, where can they find you?
All right, Charles, thank you so much for having me on. I love this call and great conversation. Always love to chat about music and things like that. You guys can find me on Instagram at Christina_loves, and that's my same handle for TikTok. And I just got on this new app called Flip, which is kind of like a thing now. So if you guys want to find me on there, I just made one post today. But other than that, you guys can find me on all streaming platforms for my music. If you Google Christina, you can just find my music right there.
Perfect. And Christina, I gotta tell you that it's nice to be able to have this kind of motivation when it comes to music. And like I said, I've interviewed a lot of people over a lot of different years, and I gotta tell you, like, I loved your energy before we connected, and it's you know, I'm not saying I'm a great judge of character. I'm just saying I just go where the great energy goes, and I just love it. I love everything.
No, you're definitely a great judge of character. I agree. You're on the money. Appreciate it.
I just love who you are and who you're trying to be, and to see it in real time and to be able to, like, you know, help nurture that, because, you know, we're not done. We're going to continue to work together on things.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time so much. Love your energy as well. It was an awesome interview. I appreciate it.
Totally appreciate you. And make sure y'all go follow this lady on all platforms and go check out her music that is on Spotify and streaming networks that you can find. Christina, do it now. Not now, but right now.
Right now. All right.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.